welcome to today's class. What we're going to be working on today is warming up our bodies in order to get a good, juicy, nutritious, what's called posterior push-off when we go walking, so that we get a juicier walk for the body, more of our bits are working, increase the calorie burn of our walk, and just get all over goodness throughout the body. What we need for today is a half dome or a rolled up towel. If you do not have a half dome, a rolled up towel works perfectly, and a yoga block or a stack of books. And then I'll talk to you about walking while we're going through all of this. So let's start by warming up the calves and getting some length into the calves. So you come up to your half round foam roller or your towel. I'm stepping my left foot towards just off center of the block, standing hip distance apart, and then kind of stepping forward with the other leg. What we don't want is to step forward so much that our body is lurching forward. Okay, we want to still keep standing pretty upright and feeling a good stretch down the back of the foot that is on the half dome. So I was about to go out for my daily walk, and I wanted to show you this little 10-minute routine that I do to just warm up, get everything moving, so that I'm doing this good, what's called posterior push-off. Let's switch to the other side. So if you think of how, of the mechanism of ice skating, where it's like this pushback to go forward, or if you think of how an oar goes into, if you're rowing, how the oar goes in and pushes back so that the boat can come forward. That is the type of mechanism that we want to try and get when we're walking, so that instead of taking a step forward by flexing, most of us are walking by just flexing at the knee, stepping forward, kind of falling forward and breaking the fall. So try that and see, is that the way you walk? For most of us, that is the only walk that we have available to us now, because we've just spent so much of our lifetime, so we switch to the other side, we've spent so much of our lifetime sitting in chairs that we no longer have the strength down the legs and through the glutes in order to be doing this like butt-driven walk, which is what the pelvic floor really needs as well. This is an integral part of what I teach to my one-on-one clients that have any kind of pelvic floor or leaky bladder issues. We've got to get the butt working again when we're walking. Because not all walking is created equal, believe it or not. It's super, super interesting. And when you start getting this really muscularly driven walk, you will feel that walking is actually hard work, really tiring, right? Which we do. We want to feel like we're getting some real benefit from our walk, besides all the wonderful vitamin nature and vitamin texture and fresh air and vitamin D that we're getting. So let's switch to the other side one more time. And while you're here, you can also do a little bit of a hand stretch. I like to do some hand stretching here. You can put the backs of your hands together, let your thumbs touch, and feel a stretch. If this is it's kind of easy to do here, you will really want the back of the hands together and the thumbs together, and you can start taking the hands away from you. Okay, so step off your half dome, and now we're going to still stand hip distance apart. So what I mean by that, here's the pelvis. You've got the sticky outie bones of the pelvis, and you're lining your ankles directly down from the sticky outie bones of the pelvis, and you want to measure that maybe in front of a mirror, because most of us are standing too narrow. Some of us stand too wide. It's really important to stand, and even when you walk, try and walk more hip distance apart. Most of us just kind of bringing our feet into the midline as we walk. And again, it's stopping all these juicy muscles from walking and engaging when we walk. So we're going to do calf raises here. So lift up and down, up and down. We're going to try and do about 10 of these. Here my feet clickety-clicking away. Try not to pop too much at the top. You'll find that you can also really work your core here as well. We want the core stabilizing so that as much as possible, we're just going straight up and down. Okay, and then top of the foot stretch. So still standing hip distance apart. taking one foot behind you and really stretching the top of the foot. If this is too intense, you can bend the front knee, because we really want to get on the top of the forefoot, not just on the top of the toes. So it must just possible get onto the top of the forefoot. You can do this on a chair. This is a great exercise to do while you're doing on the chair, because getting real movement, real mobility through the feet is also super important in order for the leg muscles to be doing what they should be doing when you walk. Okay, back to the half dome for the calf stretching, and the second time you may be able to feel a bit of a difference after we've done a little bit of a loading of the muscles. I can feel, woo, I can step way more forward, okay? Hip distance apart. Let's do another hand stretch, because when we get onto the upper body, you'll see how just as the tightness through the feet affect what's happening up the leg and into the hip, so the tightness of the hands is affecting what's happening in the upper body right into the neck. So take your hand, make a fist, really hold your fist super tight, bring it out in front of you, take it 90 degrees, and then just gently press. Whoa, and you'll feel a super stretch. Keep holding your fist. You don't want the fingers to open. Keep holding as much of a fist as you can as you push back ever so slightly. Good. And now what I want you to do is that foot that's on the half dome, I want you to bend the knee. Bend the knee now. Previously, the leg was straight. Now bend the knee, and you may feel the stretch moving down towards your ankle, towards the Achilles. Really stretch that out. This is also, if you've had a full day of working at your desk, this is great little routine to do, just to limber everything up a bit. So let's do the hand stretch on the other side. Make a fist with your hand. As much as possible, take the hand to 90 degrees here, and we're going to gently push back there. It's quite a nerve stretch. And take it away, and now bend the knee of the foot that's on your half dome or your rolled up towel. Awesomeness. And one more time, we're going to do calf raises. Just going up and down. When you can start feeling your butt walking you when you walk, that's when the whole world changes for you. Because if every step we take is this muscularly driven, muscularly bound motion, actually increases your basal metabolic rate. And as we move through perimenopause and menopause, we've got this constant battle of losing body mass because of the declining estrogen. Losing muscle mass and putting on weight because we generally just are moving less. So what we want to try and do, the aim is to get as much muscular recruitment in the movements we do. And if just walking around all day is now this muscularly driven thing as opposed to just using gravity to fall, then I have found personally that this has been an awesome way to maintain my muscle mass through perimenopause, switch sides, and also to try and to stabilize my weight. It takes a while. Okay, it's not a quick fix, but you've got to start somewhere, right? And knowledge is power. All right, awesome. Now take your stack of books. We're going to do the next move, which is the pelvic list. Now, the pelvic list is a tough move to have, so please, 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 if you're battling getting this motion, it is not easy. It took me a fair while until I understood what was even being asked. So we're going to take this side of the hip, you're going to press down into the standing leg, and these muscles over here, we want these muscles on the side of the butt here. Press down into the standing leg, recruit, squeeze those muscles on the side of the back of the butt so that the other foot lifts up to the same height as the foot on the block, and then release these muscles to let the block come down. We don't want to be using the waist muscles here to lift this leg. It is a tricky move to get reintegrated into the body. So if you're having trouble with it, please reach out to me. I do offer some free half-hour assessments, and we can work on this pelvic listing. Everybody eventually gets it. And once you get it, you can really feel it working into there. You may want to hinge forward just a little bit with the leg, and you can really feel how this whole leg has to carry the weight of your body. And that's what walking is. It's either just falling from one leg to the next, which puts a huge amount of work through the quads and onto the knee, or it's this ability to lift your body weight and swing the leg forward. And when we break down what's like a macro movement, like walking, so now we're pelvic listing on the other side. Lift, and lower, lift, and lower. So really what I'm doing in this quick class is just taking the components of walking and breaking it down into a couple of smaller pieces, so that when you actually go out to move, more of your body is moving. So this is the little kind of warm-up that I like to do before I go out to move. And it's not that easy either. Okay. Awesome. Come down to the floor. So the next part of moving is actually having the ability, and I'll show you on my model, we need it in order for this juicy butt area to work, okay, which is what we want coming on again. This leg has to be able to swing behind us. And in most of us, we're so super tight through here that we can't get the leg behind us without doing like a little bit of a back bend motion and overusing these muscles over here, which are called the QL. So what we want to do is we want to work on a lunge. So we're taking one leg forward, we're digging the feet in, we're measuring for a neutral pelvis, which is heel of the hand on the sticky ID bone, middle finger on the pubic bone. Keep the ribs down, no arching through the back or arching through the pelvis, and we're just moving the body forward. Not much range of motion available here, only 30 degrees maximum, so don't expect it to look like a yoga lunge. Yoga lunge is great. Yoga lunge is for yoga. This is a functional move, okay? So really feel that stretch down the side here. Awesome. Let's change sides. Dig in the heel there. You may even feel a stretch up here. Everything is in alignment. Check your pelvis is neutral. Keep your hand on your pelvis, your other hand on your lower ribs so that we aren't rib arching to create motion, and lunge forward. And you may even feel that one side gives you more range of motion than the other. Like I can go much further forward with ease on my right leg than my left. So that means when I actually come to walk, I'm getting more recruitment out of my right butt than my left. And maybe that explains why I have a chronic hip condition on the left, which is much improved, by the way. But still, my left side will always be weaker and more problematic than my right, because it's like 50 years of moving and recruiting in a certain way. Our body makes all sorts of adjustments and compensations, but once we start moving better, I mean, I can actually walk on my left side now, which is a huge improvement. So we're getting a good stretch there, and let's switch to the other side and stretch there. And I can really feel like my body is really starting to work here. All right, come down to the floor. And I'd like you to do what's called Z-sit to the best of your ability, okay? Some people find this a super, super uncomfortable position. If you can't do this at all, then leave it or build up some cushions. You don't have to do it directly on the floor. But part of walking as well is this ability for the leg muscle to actually internally rotate. So we do want to work a little bit on the internal rotation here. And you can take a bit of a stretch over the top. Really. And you'll notice, you may notice from side to side, because now we're going to swing the legs forward, do a little bit of a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle from side to side, and you can come forward a little bit for a stretch there, and then switch to the other side. Similarly, when I'm doing my Z-sits, so much easier to Z-sit to my right than my left. So I try and double up on the side that's tighter. And you don't want to push it. You don't want to push it either. We're working on nice internal rotation here. So we can get a stretch and stretch. Bring the legs forward. You can either stretch like this, or you can open your legs up a bit and get a nice extension through the front. We don't want to be rounding our backs though. We want to sit high on the tailbone. And Z-sit to the other side. Again, in all this corrective exercise work, where we're trying to get, we're not just moving our bodies, we're trying to get more of our body moving when we move. Big difference there. And when I first discovered this work, that was my boom, light bulb moment. It's because it wasn't like I wasn't moving, yet I still had all these injuries. I had a chronic hip injury and back, plus bladder leaking. I was like, how could this be happening to me? I mean, I taught yoga, I was an exercise bunny. And so when I came to understand the concept that it's not just moving, it's how you move. It's what you're recruiting and how you're recruiting that makes such a big difference. That was when my whole health and wellness changed. So that is what we really want to be thinking about in these classes, and why I call it mindful movement, because we're actually repatterning the way the body moves. It takes a little bit of mindfulness at first, but once you've trained different things to work in different ways, it starts to become the pattern in the way you move. Because if we just keep moving the same way, we'll just keep getting the same result, right? That's the definition of life. Okay, and let's switch to the other side. Try and keep your waist a little bit even here. You may feel when we go into it a second time that there is a little bit more range of motion through there. Awesomeness. Next thing I want to look at is take your blocks or your stack of books. I'm going to do this facing you. What we want to do is we just want to come, we want to step up onto the block and step down. Step up and step down. Okay? We want to try and do it with as much control as possible. It's pretty difficult. And importantly, we don't want the knee coming into the midline. We want to keep the knee tracking out. You'll really feel the muscles working as you step forward. And you can see here when we do this, why that calf stretch that we started off with was so important, because we really need, this is walking uphill and walking downhill. This is walking up steps and walking down steps. And as much as possible, let me turn sideways now. As much as possible, we want to try when we come up to keep the shin, to keep it as vertical as we can, and keep the knee from falling out. And step up and lower, down, shin vertical. Step up and lower, down, shin vertical. Step up, press. So we're really pressing through the heel to come up, and then controlling as we come down. Okay, let's try the other side. On your stack of books. This is also, interestingly, the better way to be climbing upstairs. Let me turn sideways and show you what I mean. Because many of us, when we come to climb stairs, we step forward, we angle the leg, we push up. There's a lot happening through the quad and through the knee. A lot of chronic movement through the quad and knee, not much happening at the butt. So we're practicing here, keeping the shin vertical, pressing up and lowering down. You see how much movement we need through the front of the ankle there. It's called dorsiflexion. Push through the heel to go vertically up. Use these lateral hip muscles to lower you down. Super hard work. Lots of core engagement needed as well. So let's stop that for a minute. I'm going to take you to one of my favorite pieces of exercise equipment, the door. Because I really want you to feel what's happening on the butt. So if possible, come to a door handle. We need a door handle to do this. I hope you can see me okay here. So I want you to hold onto the door. Take one leg forward, the other leg behind. Let me move my pelvis. So you're coming into like a bit of a lunge position here. I want you to keep the shin vertical, and the door is here to help you move your weight back onto your butt so that you can really feel these muscles, the hamstrings, all these what's called lateral hip muscles and the glutes working very hard to hold you here. So we want to hold onto the door. If this feels good, then just stay there. And if you want to lift the leg a little bit off the floor, then go for that. But you'll really feel how your muscles need to work very, very hard to stabilize you. We don't want the knee coming forward. We want the shin vertical and all the weight back in the butt and the hamstring. And the door is there to help us get some stability so that we can really find those muscles and wake them up. Whew. Other side. Bend down. If there's anything for you to hold on to do this, that's going to hold your body weight nicely, you can do that too. And you may see as well here, as I can see with me, that my right side is so much stronger than my left, of course. So all these little differences in strength and flexibility over time can certainly contribute to the aches and pains that we have. Okay, so now that we've really felt that on the door, we can come and try that on the block again as well, and really get that sense when we're on the block that we're creating this vertical shin and pushing up, keeping the shin verticals and weight back in the butt as we go down. Up and back. Sorry, get my block straight. Up and back. Butt back. Other side. Lifting up and down. Weight back in the butt. Up and down. Okay, and then last exercise, just to get some strength through the quads. Come onto your block or your books, leg forward, and we're going to lift up and down. Really, I want you to try and push as you lift. We don't want to go forward over the quad and up. We want to keep our torso just going up and down. So as you go up, you want to push back with the heel that's behind you. Great lengthening through the quads. And strength through the quads too. And then just hold it at the bottom. Press, 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 press. Really load the body there. Awesome. Step forward and come into a hamstring stretch. Keeping the curve in your lower back. feeling the stretch down the back of the legs. You can also just relax here. Come up, let's switch sides. Have to think which leg was behind. Okay, and we're going to lift. Sorry, and lower. Lift, lower. Keep pressing as you go up, pressing back with the heel at the back. Body goes straight up and down. And hold for 5. And step forward. Almost done and ready for the walk. Come back to your rolled up towel or your half dome. This time we're going to put both feet, heels on the floor, both feet on the half dome. Take your butt back and come for what's called a double calf stretch. This is too intense, just do it on the floor. Step off, last calf stretch, and then we're going to go walking. You may feel that you're now able to swing this, to move the swing through leg much more forward and find strength and stability through the back butt, which is what we're after in the walk. Bend the front foot. So you're bending the knee of the foot that's on the half dome so that the stretch is moving from the big calf muscle called the gastrocnemius down to the soleus, which is more kind of around your Achilles. And it's a slightly different sensation of stretch too. Last time on this side, so much more ease in stepping the foot forward, which means that I'm going to get so much more butt action into my walk. The last thing that makes the difference is that as much as possible, we want to be walking with a shoe, if we've transitioned, that does not have the heel higher than the toe, because that means you will not be able to find your butt when you walk because you're being pushed forward onto your quads. So that's something else to think about, is transitioning to more of a minimal shoe where your foot is not having you in what's called a positive heel. In other words, where the heel is higher than the toe. Put your hand in your running shoe and let me know. Does your running shoe keep your heel higher than your toe? Please be careful though, bend the knee on the half dome. We don't want to just rush down to what's called a zero drop where the heel and the toe are on the same line. It does require a process of transition, but that is definitely a near-term goal that we want to look for if we want to get more of this posterior recruitment in the walk, okay, which is where the win is. All right, so how are you feeling? Just feeling like I'm ready to go out walking. So go, enjoy your walk, if you're still allowed to walk, and let me know how that felt. Even if you are in one of these awful situations, I have friends and family around the world where they cannot walk more than 100 meters from their building, and I'm sure that will come to us in Toronto in no time soon. Just doing these exercises, and then you don't need a long walk. Just take your 100-meter walk, slow it down, and really feel that your butt is walking you, and you'll notice that your heart rate will come up and there will be a lot more muscle use. And please God, this will all be over soon. Sending you love and lights and virtual hugs wherever you are in the world. And please share in the comments pics of your walks, because I'd love to see them. Have a lovely evening. Bye.